It is going to be a very big night for the Everson Museum in downtown Syracuse, expecting to get millions at auction for one of its paintings. So we're happy to have the Everson Executive Director, Elizabeth Dunbar, joining us now. Thanks for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
So let's talk about the actual painting itself. It's a Jackson Pollock. Most people are familiar with his works, at least his style anyway. So how did the museum get this painting in particular? How long has it been with the collection, and why are you going to part with it now?
Well, we've had the painting almost 30 years. It came into the collection in 1991 as a gift from Marshall and Dorothy Reisman. Marshall was a very successful businessman here in Syracuse, and he was a trustee here at the museum as well and had amassed quite a collection. So he gave the work to us in 91. He had purchased it actually back in 1958, which is 2 years after Jackson Pollock, also known as Jack the Dripper, after Pollock died in 1956. So 2 years later, he purchased the painting and gave it to us, you know, many years later.
Why are you going to part with it, though?
Well, we have two works actually by Jackson Pollock in the collection, and the other is a piece from 1951, which is a work on paper, a drip ink painting on paper, and is really more of Pollock's signature style. That's really the height of his career. And we've been thinking about refining our collection with an eye towards diversity for quite some years now. Sure. And in light of what happened earlier this year with George Floyd, the killing of George Floyd, the Black Lives Matter movement, the museum really felt an obligation to take a stand and do something that was bold and signal to the community that we really wanted to address racial inequality, systemic racism, and start by diversifying our collection on a more rapid timeline. And that meant we needed to raise funds to be able to purchase new works. And the Jackson Pollock came to the forefront. Yeah,
and you should be able to raise funds from what I understand the auction tonight, the famed Christie's auction house. I mean, they're expecting it to go for anywhere between $12 and $18 million. Do I have that right? That's a lot of money.
Or more.
Or more, hopefully,
I mean,
right?
that's just an estimate. It's just an estimate of 12 to 18 million. So we don't know what it'll go for, but you know, it's not unusual for works to exceed their estimates. And in this case, we hope they are wrong on their estimate, and it's even more.
Sure. So you talked a little bit about it, but whatever that amount ends up being, how do you plan to use that? You talked about the diversification of the museum thing, but more specifically, what does that mean?
Well, the proceeds from the sale will be used to establish an endowment, which will do two different things for the museum. One, it will establish a fund for purchasing new works for the collection. And with the new works for the collection, our focus will be on acquiring works by artists of color, women artists, mid-career and contemporary artists who are from really underrepresented or marginalized groups. So that's a big part of how this the sale of this work will be used. The other part of the endowment will be used for the direct care of our collection. This helps free up some of those funds that we can use for other diversity and inclusion initiatives, and use the direct care proceeds to care for the work.
Last quick one going out. You have a viewing party tonight, right? What's that going to be like when it actually goes up on the auction block? Everybody's looking and watching.
Oh, I don't know. I've never seen anything like this before. I think our hearts are all going to be beating rapidly in our chests, and you know, it'll probably the whole bidding process will probably be under a couple of minutes. So you know, there's been a lot of anxiety and attention and stress and excitement leading up until this moment, but I think there will be a sigh of relief when it's finally over with, and you know, a great feeling that we are going to be able to do some really exciting things for the museum and for our community, and that this is a lasting change that future generations will get to enjoy as well.
Elizabeth Dunbar, the executive director of the Everson Museum, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck tonight.
Thank you very much. Fingers crossed.